welcome you here, Lord Jesus. Welcome you, Lord. And we welcome you. We welcome you here to the worship vocal workshop. And our goal is to just try to share some things that we hope will be helpful to you as you lead your congregation week after week. We're going to just share some insights and some things that we've learned over the years. It's not the only way, but certainly some ways and some techniques and some principles that we hope will help you be more effective at leading your congregation every week. And so I'm Paul Baloche, and I have some good friends to help me try to do this. And one is Michael Mellett, all the way over there. And Michael is he's a worship leader in his church. He arranges vocals for just about everybody in Nashville, and has sung on many worship projects and secular projects, and just really has a heart for God and for God's people. And also this is Nerva, ready, set, go. And just blessed to have Nerva. She has sung with Toby Mack for years and many people, Michael W., and has done sessions. But most importantly, for this project, she has sung as a part of a worship team for many years at her church, as often as she can. And so she'll bring a lot of insight, and glad to have you, Nerva.
Thank you.
And Carrie Job from the Gateway Church in Dallas. And Carrie went to ORU and was part of that worship team for many years, and worked with Christ for the Nation some. And now Gateway Church is just a dynamic church, and she leads worship as well as heads up their vocal team and just does a lot of things. So they all have kind of a pastoral heart as well as being excellent singers. And that's our goal here, is to try to connect the heart as well as some of the technique that helps us communicate the heart of God week after week. Now, you can be an amazing singer, but if you don't have a heart after God, then you're not going to be very effective at drawing people into His presence. And yet, the other side of the coin is you could have just a precious heart for God and a humble heart, and you love the Lord, but if you've never really been exposed or worked on some of these techniques, these sort of timeless vocal principles, then you're not going to be very effective at communicating that heart that you have for the Lord. Mm-hmm. So that's our goal, is to try to bring those two things together and hopefully encourage you and your team with some of these things. I just want to say at the outset, this has always been an area that for some reason has been an insecurity for me. I think I was just used to being around great singers all the time. I think back in the day I was just the guitar player, and I would back up my wife, Rita, or Kelly Willard, and Lenny LeBlanc, and a lot of these just amazing singers. And I always felt sort of like the Charlie Brown of singers, like, man, oh well. And, so at my church, I just was happy to be playing guitar. The pastor would lead worship, and we'd have maybe one or two singers, and there'd be a piano player. It was pretty small. And then one day he just turned to me and said, "Paul, why don't you come lead us in a song while I pray for some people here?" And I was just freaking out on the inside, just going, "No way! Dude, I don't do that." I wanted to say that, but of course on the outside, you're like, okay, sure. Mm-hmm. And so I stepped up to the mic and just really nervous. And I think I did something like, "I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice." Like courage, like the cowardly lion. But, and I'm just being bombarded with these thoughts of like, you're a loser, you'll never work in this town again, Baloche, and I don't know why, but it's funny how the enemy can take some of our insecurities and just dump on us. Absolutely. And but fortunately, there were a few people afterwards that were like, "Hey, bro, thanks. That was really neat. Thanks for leading us." And like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, But little by little, the pastor kept calling on me and just encouraging me and saying, "Bro, you have a heart for worship. Just, let's just see what God does. Maybe put together a little team and just start working on that." And I'm like, really? No, thanks. I just love being the guitar player. But anyway, God was saying, step out of the boat. Get out of your comfort zone. And maybe you can relate to that. Maybe if that hasn't happened to you, maybe it will happen to you very soon, where God will say, get out of the boat and trust me. And now I'm grateful, but still many years later, I find that I'll just feel inadequate in certain situations, whether it's recording a project or just leading on a Sunday morning. And so I've tried to work on things that would give me more confidence in singing, because I find that, if I let that be kind of an Achilles heel for me, then the enemy will always use that, and I'll be ineffective at trying to lead worship. And so my goal has been to try to just get enough confidence up to where I can lead people in worship. And that's the other thing I love about being a worship leader is you don't have to be a great singer. You don't have to be amazing. You just have to have just enough voice to get the song started, you know. That's always brought me a lot of comfort, is that, yeah, gee, I wish I could sing like that person or that person, but the good thing is people aren't going to be, it's not about me. I just have to kind of go, praise is rising, and then they're singing along, and I'm like, I'm off the hook now. Yeah. Kind of, you know, that's sort of how I work through that. So I feel sort of like a blue-collar singer, you know, that's how I feel. I got my lunchbox and my toolkit, you know, and I show up, and I'm just here to do the job. And
for sure, I know I've wrestled with that so many times. My world has mostly been the studio. I've worked in, you know, studios doing recordings and stuff, and you can stop when you get started singing a song or something like that. You can go, oh, you know what, that's not a great take. Let's do it over. Mm-hmm. And so I'm so used to that when I go, I have to actually switch gears from kind of that real performance mode to the worship mode. When I'm leading worship, I have to remember this is not about perfection. Mm-hmm. Even though I want to offer my best to the Lord, you get something caught in your throat or whatever, you're not going to be able to go, oh, let's stop worshiping, everybody. Let's start over again because, you know, it didn't sound that good. It's really not the important part. The important part is that everybody is engaging in worship. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's really a matter of kind of going, Lord, I offer this to you with all of its imperfections, you know, and I think we all have those things because my job is to listen to people sing and know whether they're on pitch or not. You know, it's like, when it's me and I'm listening to me sing and it's going down and I'm, you know, everybody's listening, I know that there are things that I'm doing that are wrong or that don't sound great. Mm-hmm. But if I will separate myself away from that performance mentality and just say, Lord, I offer this to you. I know that it's not perfect. I know that it's never going to be the absolute pristine, perfect vocal, but I know that if I offer it to you with a sincere heart, that you will accept this offering and that you'll bring your presence. And that's what we're looking for. We just want the presence of the Lord in the midst of our worship. So.
Right. Excellent.